What would you do if the water stopped running tomorrow? Most people don't think about that until it happens. They look at a few cases of bottled water in the garage and think, I'm covered. But what if the problem lasts longer than a day or two? What if the stores are empty, the trucks are not coming, and the faucet in your kitchen gives you 1 week drip? Then nothing. That is when you realize water is not just something you store. It is something you need a backup plan for. And here is the part most people miss. There is water around you right now. Not in a bottle, not in a tank, not inside some expensive machine. It is floating in the air. Today, Quiet Growth Lab is going to show you an old, simple idea for catching water from dew and humidity. But you have to be careful, because if you build it the wrong way, the water you are trying to save could quietly become contaminated. When life is normal, water feels almost too easy. You turn the handle, and it's there. You make coffee, wash your hands, cook dinner, take a shower, water the garden, and never really think about the system behind it. But that system is not as strong as most people believe. If the power goes out, pumps can stop. If supply lines break down, stores can run out of bottled water fast. And when people panic, shelves empty even faster. That is why real preparedness is not just buying more stuff. It is knowing how to create options when everyone else is out of ideas. One of the simplest options is learning how to collect moisture that is already in the air around you. It will not solve every problem, and it will not work the same everywhere, but in the right place, it can give you one more source of water when you need it most. This idea is not new, and it is not science fiction. It is just basic nature doing what it has always done. The air around us carries water vapor. You usually cannot see it, but it is there. When that moist air touches a cool surface, the vapor turns into tiny drops of water. That is why you see dew on grass in the morning. It is why your car windshield can be wet even when it did not rain. People figured this out a long time ago. In places with mountain fog, damp nights, or big temperature changes between day and night, they used stone, sloped surfaces, and simple collection areas to catch that moisture. The idea is simple. Give the air a wide surface to touch. Set it where the breeze can reach it. Let the droplets build up. Then let gravity pull them down into a clean trough or container. You set it up in the evening, and by morning, you may have usable water waiting for you. The problem is not the idea itself. The idea works. The problem is how a lot of people are building it after watching quick tutorials online. Many of those videos tell you to grab cheap PVC pipe, plastic zip ties, plastic mesh, or shade cloth from the hardware store. And on the surface, that sounds fine. It is cheap, it is easy to find, you can put it together in an afternoon. But here is where people get careless. Cheap plastic was not made to sit outside in the sun day after day while water forms on it. Under heat and UV light, that plastic can start breaking down. Tiny particles and chemicals can end up right where the water droplets are forming. Maybe that does not matter much if you are only using the water to rinse tools or wash a driveway. But if your family is counting on that water during an emergency, that changes everything. You do not want your backup water system turning into a slow chemical trap. So the lesson is simple. Just because you can catch water does not mean it is safe to drink. A safer setup starts by getting rid of the cheap plastic. Instead of a PVC frame, use small copper pipe. Instead of plastic mesh or shade cloth, use a fine metal screen, like stainless steel or aluminum mesh. The mesh needs to be pulled tight, almost like the skin of a drum. That gives the moisture a clean, steady surface to land on. Then set the frame at a slight angle, around 15 degrees, and face it toward the breeze if you can. As the moist air moves across the screen, tiny drops begin to form. Those drops grow heavier, slide down the mesh, and collect in a clean trough or container below. The copper matters too, because the video explains that copper can help slow down bacteria and algae growth in the system. The big point is not to make it fancy. The point is to make it safer. Keep the water away from cheap sun-baked plastic. Let it touch stable metal surfaces instead. In a real emergency, small choices like that can make a big difference. This is the part a lot of people skip, and it matters. Let's say your dew collector works. You wake up, and there is water sitting in the container. That feels like a win, and it is. But you should not just drink it right away and assume it is perfectly safe. Water that comes from condensation is very close to distilled water. That means it has almost no minerals in it, and your body does need minerals. It needs things like magnesium, calcium, and electrolytes to keep your muscles, nerves, and heart working the way they should. If you drink mineral-free water for too long, especially in a stressful survival situation, it may not hydrate you the way you expect, so treat it first. Run it through a simple gravity filter with activated charcoal and fine sand to help remove dust, smoke, and pollutants from the air. Then put minerals back in. You can store it in an unglazed clay pot, add a tiny pinch of natural sea salt, or pass it through safe mineral stones made for water. The point is simple. Catching water is only step one. Making it safe enough to use is the real skill. Now here is the honest part. This trick is not magic. It depends on where you live. If you are near the coast, close to a river valley, or in a place with humid nights and morning dew, a setup like this can actually give you useful water. Maybe not enough for every need, but enough to matter when things get tight. But if you live in a dry desert climate, do not fool yourself. Dry air does not give you much to collect. You can build the nicest frame in the world, but if there is almost no moisture in the air, there is almost no water to catch. That is where people get into trouble. They copy a survival trick without thinking about their own backyard. If you live somewhere dry, you may need a different plan, like rainwater storage, a well, or larger emergency water reserves. Before you build anything, look at your climate first. The best survival plan is the one that fits where you actually live. Here is something most people never think about. If you live in a hot, humid place and you run an air conditioner, you may already have a small water source sitting right outside your home. When your AC runs, it pulls moisture out of the air. That moisture turns into water, then drains out through a pipe. Most of the time, it just drips into the dirt, and nobody pays attention to it. But in an emergency, that water can matter. You can place a clean bucket under the AC drain line and collect it, instead of letting it go to waste. Now, be smart about it. Do not drink it straight from the bucket. If you ever plan to use it for drinking, filter it and boil it first. But for other uses, it can be helpful right away. You can water plants, rinse tools, wash dishes, or manually flush a toilet. It is not glamorous, it is not fancy. But when water is limited, even the water you used to ignore can become useful. The real lesson here is not about a $12 trick. It is about learning to see water differently. Most people only think of water as something that comes from a faucet, a bottle, or a storage tank. But once you understand dew, humidity, condensation, and safe materials, you start noticing other possibilities. Water can show up on a cool screen at sunrise. It can collect from damp air overnight. It can even drip from the AC drain line behind your house. But remember this: catching water is only the first step. If you want to use it safely, avoid cheap plastic. Use better materials, filter it, treat it, and add minerals back when needed. Take a look around your home today. If the tap stopped running tomorrow, What would your backup plan be? If this video helped you think a little differently, subscribe to Quiet Growth Lab for more simple, practical ideas. Thanks for watching, and stay calm, stay prepared, and keep thinking ahead.